Too bad. He had 4 freaking years of being the favorites going into every single finals, despite what people may claim. Stop it.
Well, we can definitely look at several things. I mean, and the Cavs aren't doing any better. And I'm not going to lie to you. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cavs wound up getting somebody like Zion to
I
re
think I
to
think that's exactly what they want to try to do.
yeah, and that would make sense. And I would hate that for Zion, but that's just the way the NBA is set up. But
I kind of want Zion to come to the Knicks.
of course, and I know Joey mentioned the same thing, but I think he would take any one of those Duke players at this point.
I
Right
actually
now,
agree.
which right now, I mean, they were absolutely
Unstoppable.
shellacking Eastern
Unstoppable.
Michigan. I'm not sure if you caught any tickers. I'm not sure if people can see the
I
ticker.
definitely saw. Yeah, there people are, and we upgraded the ticker from last week, ladies and gentlemen. It was a new thing, and now this week it's a little bit more smooth. So hopefully you enjoy it.
So right now, the Duke Blue Devils are winning 71 to 29. I mean, we're talking about a 48 to 13 half.
This is starting to sound like
It's like NBA Live or NBA 2K on Pro or
oh, this
Rookie.
is starting to
I
sound
mean,
like Game 2 to 4 of the NBA Finals last year.
this is ridiculous. But it's time for us to move on from the hardwood to the field, which is something new for us because usually we start on the field and move to the hardwood. But
I know, but
um,
there was just so much drama happening in the world of basketball.
absolutely. Le'Veon Bell decides to pass on the tender, the franchise tag tender of 14.5 million, which we talked about in the past. I thought he should have taken it because he still would be the highest paid. What did you think about it?
I understand why he did it from a
Hmm.
business standpoint. Um, you know, one thing that we continually talk about is how players need to take better care of their bodies when it comes to, approaching the game. And we're not talking about like, diet wise and having to spend $1.5 million a year on your health kind of thing. We're talking about protecting your brand when it comes to the franchises that you're playing for and how the GMs and the owners treat you on Wednesday versus how they treat you on Sunday. Which I think was a Friday Night Lights reference there, but that's
It's
besides the
true.
point.
Absolutely.
But I understand why he's doing it. He wants better security for his career, and they mentioned it to who was it that got injured? Who was it that just got injured like late last year? There was like a lot of like I think it was like ACL injury or something like that.
I can't recall who it was, but I mean, I can definitely understand where you're
Yeah.
coming from, though.
So he looks at it as like, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, but I do all this other stuff. I'm pretty much the top receiver and the top rusher on the team. Like I should get paid pretty much like I'm the top dog in the team.
I mean, but is he the top dog on the team, though?
Well, according to to Connor, who's been playing, tremendously this year for the Steelers, absolutely not. But that's more credit to the system to allow him to play. I mean, a Doc once said a few years back that Trent Richardson could run behind the Dallas Cowboys offensive line and get 1,000 yards. Like the same could
Still
have been
believe it.
said right now about the Pittsburgh. No, no, don't believe it right now. No, their line sucks. Their line stinks. But the same
Hmm.
could be said right now about the Steelers defense. Steelers offensive line. Like their offensive line is playing amazing this year.
But I mean, they're actually motivated. I mean, when you look at some of the comments that they made, I mean,
Some of the
like
comments
Cam.
that both the members of the team and Le'Veon said back and forth. I can understand
Well,
why
it's
they're motivated.
more. I think it's more of the team. Like Cam Haywood says, it sucks when a guy doesn't have an answer to his own questions because it's like if they aren't on the team, I'm not worried about it. And I mean, it's stuff like that. You think about it. Let's say he did come back. I mean, it would have been so awkward and weird.
I mean, it would have been, but I mean, end of the day, you're trying to compete for a Super Bowl, right?
Absolutely, and I think that's why guys are are kind of upset because it's like here we are competing for a place in the playoffs, and the Steelers, they don't necessarily have to be number one. They don't have to be top in the AFC to get to the Super Bowl. They just have to make it there, and
Yep.
then their players, Antonio Brown, now Juju, and now James
Juju
Conner,
Smith-Schuster and now James Conner.
yeah, make things happen. But I mean, I think for LeVeon, I think this to me it kind of hurts a little bit because now you're saying, well, you haven't played in a year, and I know I said the same thing about Kawhi Leonard because Kawhi. I mean, basically, this is what's happening. He did the same thing Kawhi did. I mean, it's just happening in a different sport.
In a
He
totally
didn't.
different sport.
He didn't say, "Hey, I'm hurt" or anything like that. But it's something about the Steelers that Le'Veon said, "Hey, I want to get paid. When am I going to get paid?" Maybe somebody told him he was going to get paid and he didn't. And now he said, "Well, I'm not going to play at all. I'll to pass on $14.5 million. Got to be it's something big, something's missing." And I even said online on my Facebook, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe Le'Veon's going, a different route. Maybe he's given an opportunity for James Conner to take the snaps so that he can get a bigger deal. We know
And
he's
that could be the
somebody.
case.
He's somebody who dealt with cancer in the past, and hey, maybe he's given him an opportunity to get some money later on down the line. That's definitely possible. But from what we're being told, for somebody to pass on $14.5 million, got to be something big, huge.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading. I caught an alert on Facebook where there was some rule changes to a certain group, so I had a good chuckle about
Oh
that.
man, don't even start with that.
I had a good chuckle about that one. I was like, "What the heck is this?"
Yeah, don't even talk about that. But yeah, that's something maybe tomorrow. Maybe you'll hear more about that tomorrow.
I don't know. I mean, apparently we have the. Let's do a quick plug real quick.
Sure,
Tomorrow
absolutely.
is the return of Market Out Amongst Friends. Lady T and Jay Ritty will be
Mhm.
returning back, doing a consolidating effort with Quarantine Radio as they offer their predictions for the upcoming Survivor Series 2018. Blech.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, well, and I said I might drop in, so we'll see what happens. But ultimately, I think it's going to be fun. It's good to hear from uh, Lady Great One, I think it is Lady Great One, and Jay Reedy.
The
Um,
lady of many names.
absolutely.
Speaking
But
of
yeah, it's going to
ladies,
be
though,
good.
I do want to give a shout out to the Madam Duchess, actually,
Hmm.
who apparently really enjoys the Vikings now, mainly because of their mascot and their logo. And she also
Right?
told me to mention that she hated Phila, the Philadelphia 76ers, Phila uniforms, and she also wanted to find out what the heck is a 76er. So I had to do that for her. That was a request from her. And that's it for our plugs. Let's continue.
Fantastic. So next, I mean, obviously we went over Le'Veon Bell. Um, Tom Brady lost the Patriots. See, I would say Tom Brady lost, but really the Patriots
The Patriots
lost
lost. The Patriots
to
lost.
the Titans.
Yes.
And we talk about this. I'm a part of I'm part of several Bucks groups online, and the one debate that keeps coming up, Mariota versus Winston. You know, to me, I think they're pretty even. The only, I think the part that the Titans are better than the Bucks is what makes Mariota better than Winston. The defense that the Titans have, the coaching, the culture is better than the Bucks culture. So Mariota gets put in positions. I would love to have two running backs that equals up to 100 yards. We don't get that in Tampa right now. But I'll
Okay.
say that they gave New England all they can handle. They tried to stay away from turnovers and everything that they had here. It all worked out. But the one thing that sticks out to me is that my man Dion Lewis was basically, excuse me, Deion Lewis dominated 20. That's what I was going to say. My man Deion Lewis ran for 20 carries against his old team.
Yep. For
And
57 yards.
it wasn't a lot. I mean, the Patriots defense is pretty good. But what really stood out to me for the Patriots was that my man James White didn't dominate. And I
Nope.
felt that. I felt that on my fantasy team.
Now
Like
we got to the
I felt,
crux of the beef right now.
yeah, I felt it. So I'm gonna need him to bounce back because I need to, I'm
I
number.
mean, and,
I
and
think
and
it's
they tend to do it though. You really don't see the Patriots, go on a 2-game losing streak.
absolutely.
But they got Sony Michel back, so I think they was really trying to feature him a lot. But I mean,
Hmm.
that Titans run defense is amazing,
Absolutely.
like
Absolutely.
absolutely amazing.
So to me, I mean, Tom Brady just didn't get an end zone. I mean, he threw the ball 41 times.
41 times for what?
41
About
times.
250?
250. That's a lot.
It is. But I mean, it was the Titans' day. The Duke, who is a Titans fan, said this is nothing new for what the Titans do. It's
Mm.
just it's all based on what offense or what the other team decides to bring coming out the bus that day. And obviously, it seems like the Patriots just said, "Meh."
Right. But whatever they tried to do, it
The
definitely didn't work. I can say that.
the Patriots, Belichick after the game was like, we're on to New York. We're on to New
Right.
York."
And that makes the most sense. Yes, you're on to the next game, and I understand and appreciate Belichick for his many takes.
Yes.
Um, but sometimes you got to keep it real. Like, hey, they beat us in every phase of the game.
Every phase. Every phase. There
it's,
is
it's
no excuses.
I'm sure it stung like really bad.
Not as badly as this other game that I think we should talk about, and that's the Bengals getting their Rudy Poo Capriales destroyed by the New Orleans Saints, 51-14. I think this
I
was the
don't know.
first 50-point game of the season.
I don't know about this game because they turned it off.
I don't know about this game because it was over at halftime. Like,
They turned it off.
I would
Like,
have
and
not
honestly,
been
that's how I got a chance
surprised.
to watch the Bucks
I
game.
would have not been surprised if Vontae Burfict would have retired at halftime.
Mm, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's the Bengals. I expect Marvin Lewis's reign to come to an end. I'm not sure if it will happen, but
It's
that's
not
just
gonna happen. He's
what I
not the new
expect.
Derek Fisher. They have to have a Jeff Fisher in the NFL.
Hmm.
There has to be one. There
Yeah,
has to be.
you're right. You're
But
absolutely right.
we're, have you ever? And I haven't played football for real, other than like flag football, and of course, street football, whatever. Have
Sure.
you ever seen a game where the offense never had to punt or never had a turnover?
It's rare. It happens. It's rare.
Because that's what
Very rare.
happened on Sunday. This was a
It,
unicorn game, ladies and gentlemen. The Saints didn't punt the ball at all, nor did
it's
they turn
very
it over.
rare. I mean, but that's the Bengals.
Drew Brees only threw for 265 yards and threw for 3 TDs.
Mm, mm,
He
mm, mm.
only he only missed 3 passes. 22 or 25. What? But the big story of all this is Mark Ingram running for 100 yards, 104 yards, with 13 carries. He didn't get a touchdown, but he was just running down that Bengals defense. We always talk highly on the Bengals defense because they're gritty, they're tough.
Pretty aggressive.
They get down and dirty sometimes,
Hmm.
but they just laid down in the dirt and just took it.
I agree. I'm not sure what else. I don't know. Again, I don't put anything past that coach. I think he's had a great run. I mean,
I have to put it
if
on
it's
that
not,
coach. I have
I
to
was
put it
gonna
on that
say
coach.
if it's
He's
not
gone.
over, I mean, I don't know
He
what else to really
it's
say.
over. It's over.
um, I mean, I know that the one thing is that New Orleans has a Hall of Fame quarterback that just knows how to throw dimes. I mean, ultimately, that's it. I mean, that's it. That's it.
That's
Now
pretty
I
much is
know
it.
absolutely. Now I know one game that I'm sure surprised most people, especially all of us in the NFC South, was that the Browns beat the Falcons.
Beat them bad too.
It wasn't as bad in like during the game. I mean, honestly, the Falcons were competitive in the first half. Julio even got another touchdown.
Julio did get a touchdown. I think that was his first touchdown of the year, actually.
This might have been the second. I think he scored last week,
I think you're right.
which was surprising. Yeah, but I mean, obviously the Browns culture starting to switch around a little bit. You know, I like their new coach. I don't know if they're going to keep him as the head coach. Greg Williams. I don't know. He's aggressive. I've always liked his aggressiveness. He's funny. He's hilarious. I've seen him on Hard Knocks twice because he was with the Rams and now, of course, with the Browns.
Of course.
He kind of gives them a little realness that they might need. But ultimately, it'll come down to the offense. Who's gonna, is his offense good enough? I mean, they got rid of a lot of pieces, because people weren't gelling. I wonder now if Josh Gordon would still be there under Greg Williams. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I don't
possibly.
know. Yeah, I don't know. But ultimately, I think this is more bad for the Falcons than good for the Browns.
I can see why you would say that. Um, I mean, eh,
Mm.
I mean the Falcons has been wishy washy all year though. Like that's why it's hard for me to accept that as the answer. Cause they've been wishy washy all year. Like some games they look like, oh yeah, they're about to make a run to the Super Bowl. And then
Right.
other games like Gaza, you're just trying to go for the number one pick. Like what's going on?
What's
This
going
is this
on?
is what this past Sunday's game was. This was a oh yeah, we're just gonna be part of the lottery team. Like
So this is what I'll say before we move on to the next thing. I'll say that if they don't make the playoff, they fail to move forward. I could see them starting to unload some of those players. Like you might see Julio on the trade block.
oh, I'm pretty sure they're gonna put Julio on the trade block.
It stinks because he's really, really a good player. Like
Oh
he
yeah,
really demands a lot of attention, and that really helps other players succeed. But it might be time for a change of scenery.
I mean we both said it after Calvin Ridley got drafted. Like this is
Right,
unfair.
Julio. That's right. That's right. But speaking of unfair, I mean, obviously, some teams feel as though their records don't indicate how good they really are. And in life, sometimes that's unfair. um, but there are some teams that are on the bubble. But for the most part, when I look at the standings, everything's kind of shaping together. Um, Ironically,
Irony.
the only irony exactly. There are certain teams that we already know are basically in, and there are teams that we know are basically out. But we want to really look at those teams that are on the cusp of being out. So let's start in the AFC East. How do you feel about the Dolphins at 5-5?
They're kind of like the Falcons for me.
This is
Um,
what I, this is what I'll preface. Let me preface with saying this:
okay,
they play they play the Bills 2 times for the rest
that's
of the
two
year.
wins.
They got 2 games with the Bills. They play
That's
the
two wins.
Colts. They play the
That's a
Colts,
potential win,
and
depending
then they
on how they
play
decide to play.
then they play the Patriots, Vikings, and Jaguars.
That's two losses and a win.
So that you're looking at about 4-2.
Yes,
So I'll put them at 9-7 in a tough AFC. I mean, that actually might get them in the playoffs.
maybe for well, they ain't sure going to be a wild card spot because not going to be winning the division.
Right, which is going to be tough because of the next conference or the next division, which is the AFC West, which Chiefs 9-1, Chargers 7-2. Clearly, the Broncos and the Raiders are out,
They're
uh,
gone.
unless some unless something crazy
No,
happens to the Chargers. They're in.
no,
Uh,
no. The Chargers are
yeah.
definitely in.
So that's 3 teams right now. So you got the Patriots are in, Chiefs are in, Chargers are in. So that's 3 teams.
Three teams.
So you have to count the winners of the divisions first, and then 2 other teams. So right now we're looking at the Patriots, Chiefs, Steelers currently, and Texans currently. Chargers have a spot as it stands right now. The AFC North, you have the Bengals and the Ravens, kind of flip flopped right there, 5-4, 4-5. Could go any way. The team that you just saw,
I hate to say this about the AFC North, but is it possible to not choose a team from that one?
it is, and it's possible that we might not get a team from that one, depending on how it finishes. We might just get the Steelers.
I'm talking about just all four teams. Just
Well,
not to
no,
be
because
considered.
you got to get the winner. The winner gets in, of course. Uh, Remember, we had that debacle where it was like all the teams terrible.
Yes. Yeah,
You know,
because that was the NFC West a few years back.
exactly, and that. I mean, obviously the Steelers are playing better, but
We had a team. I think that was like
6-11 or something, 7 and something crazy.
7-9. I think it was.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But yeah, this is what we got here. And then last we have the AFC South, where you have the Texans and Titans battling out, but the Colts are hanging on.
Oh, the Colts are definitely hanging on. That's why I said that was gonna be a toss up for the Dolphins with their remaining schedule. Um, I mean, they're still scoring. Like the Colts are scoring. It's just depending on what that offensive line decides to give them that week and how that defense decides to play. And that's pretty much been pretty historical with Colts defenses. Even back when Peyton was playing, like some days they look like world beaters. Other days, like, what the heck is wrong with you? Yeah, you have a great, QB with you, but like he needs some help.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree.
But
So
I
okay,
mean, the Texans, I can see them winning the division. The Titans,
yeah,
they're gonna be the season disappointment for the FC.
possibly depends on how the Bengals do. Honestly, because you think about it, we said we had 3 teams. I mean, well, 4 teams. You got the Chargers as a 15. The Titans could be right there as that 16.
Yeah,
Could
actually, that would
yeah,
be my playoff book, my playoff picture right there. That would be my six
yeah.
teams.
Book it. God, he speaks. So, moving on to the NFC, looking at your favorite part of the NFC East, with your favorite team, the Cowboys, are right
Wait,
there.
hold on. I'm gonna go
They,
through all
they,
four teams for the NFC East by name.
wow.
The Washington Trash, the Dallas Trash, Philadelphia Trash, and the New York Giant Trash.
It's like New York is just the incinerator of the trash. Like, they're just burning all the trash.
Like it's
Um,
like New York in dead winter. And you know
mhm,
how the sewage, you know, pull up smoke. Like that's trash.
It's like it's like having to go play the division in New York because we have
At
to
least
protect
at
the
least
city.
that's enjoyable.
It is.
Watching the Giants,
Uh,
that is not enjoyable.
so right now the Redskins are in, even though they're scoring the lowest amount of points in the division here. And they just got to win over my Bucks, which isn't really saying anything. But the Cowboys have won their fourth game, in which
Ah!
you said this was it for them, 4 games. So moving forward, they'll be trying to troll you.
Oh, I already know they're gonna troll me now.
And then the Eagles are at 4 games. Obviously, the Eagles are a little bit of a disappointment. Um, I don't know what the problem is. I think I won't. I think I told you they just don't. They're just not scoring at the right time. I know Carson Wentz definitely missed a few throws the other day that I know he really wish he had back.
I totally agree with you.
So NFC West, Rams are in.
They're they're gonna clinch in like 2 to 3 weeks.
Right. The Seahawks are up in the air. I don't know.
If
I
if
don't
the,
know.
if the Seahawks get into the playoffs, they'll be the most dangerous team in the NFC playoff picture.
Hmm. Cardinals, 49ers are out, of course. The
Did you
Bears.
really wait? Did you really just even mention their names in this conversation? We're talking about playoffs. We're not even talking about practice. We're talking about playoffs.
I know. I just wanted to make sure I gave them a little bit of a, you know.
Nope. Nope. Move
Okay.
on.
So
Let's just
right
move on.
now the Bears and the Vikings leading the NFC North. Packers are holding on pretty tight, but it's gonna be tough because the Bears and the Vikings are playing well. You got the Redskins who, if they continue to win, are in. You got the Rams. Packers 4-4, holding on. I am shocked that they're 4-4. I expected them to, of course, win some more games with having Aaron Rodgers, but leave it up to somebody to say that Aaron Rodgers isn't really a good player. Um, Mel P. Um,
Yeah, you don't poke the bear.
yeah, but
I don't know
apparently,
what happens when you poke the bear, but it's usually never anything good.
so we're gonna see what happens. But right now, the Packers are outside looking in. So then we go to the fun NFC South, my favorite division. Saints are in.
Yes.
Panthers, as it stands, it would be Redskins, Rams, Bears, Saints, and then the Vikings and the Panthers, as it stands right now.
Yes.
Falcons, 4-5, looking in easily. I believe they do play the Panthers one more time.
Yes, they do.
Um, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be some playoff implications in some of these games. But as it stands right now, it's the Saints, Falcons, Vikings, Bears, Rams, and Redskins.
Here's the part that's going to be fun about the NFC North and NFC South. Those two divisions, it's either a wild card spot or the actual division title is going to be decided on week 17. Between those two divisions, because suddenly the Panthers are starting to play really well. Cam Newton's playing on a MVP type caliber level the past couple of games.
I will disagree with you. They look like doo doo on a stick versus the Steelers.
I mean, they got destroyed by the Steelers. I mean,
They
before that
did.
though, they were playing very well.
Well, I mean, if you're talking
Oh
about,
gosh.
listen, if you're talking about a game versus the Bucks, I mean, anybody can play well against the Bucks. But even still, they gave up 28 points, almost let us back in the game. I mean, they're playing okay.
Wait.
Uh,
Wait. Hold on, Doc. Wait, are you saying that any team can play well against the Buccaneers
yes, at
in
this
the
particular
NFL,
junction. Yeah,
NCAA, semi-pro?
okay, okay.
Are you trying to tell me that the New Jersey unit could beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now?
You know what? Honestly, possibly. I'm going on them to say that is possible. I'm glad you.
Wait, the people are screaming in my ear right now. They need to find out. Are you trying
It
to
is.
say that the New Jersey unit, your team,
Could compete. Yes,
can
with that
compete
secondary.
and defeat?
With that secondary, I didn't say defeat. I said compete. With that
No,
secondary, I
I'm
think
saying
anybody's got a chance.
defeat them. I'm
Anybody's
saying
got a chance.
making them look like they should not even be a franchise anymore. Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitzpatrick shouldn't have a basketball, or in this case, football in their hands.
I'm telling you, if the Alabama Crimson Tide walked in to Raymond James, they would beat the Bucks.
Kind of like, what happens if they decide to go to any other SEC team this year.
Exactly. Just like if Duke walked in to Cleveland right now, they would beat the Cavs. I,
I don't know about that.
I believe it. I believe they
I
would
don't
beat
know
the
about
Cavs. I believe they would
that.
beat. I believe they would beat the Suns too.
The
The
Suns,
bottom two teams.
the Suns, I would completely 100% agree with you. The
And I
Suns, I
think the
would
Suns
totally
are
agree
better
with
than
that.
the Cavs.
I think the
I
Cavs
don't know
have
what's wrong.
more. I think the Cavs have more veterans that their pride is not going to let them win it. And the reason I say that is, like, yeah, let's say they're getting routed, like then they're going to start playing prison ball on them.
Absolutely.
That's why I said they're not going to lose without a fight. We're potentially looking at we're potentially looking at the brawl in the queue.
Terrible. So those are the playoff stories. I mean, the only thing that we have left to talk about, which I think we talked about some of them, are some of the coaches that are on the hot seat. Some are super hot.
some are
Some
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 are
are a
nuclear
little,
star hot right now.
yeah, yeah.
And
Some of them are,
and that's not even on one LP. That's just
right.
periods.
So we'll just throw out three. I'll throw out three, maybe
Okay.
four.
Okay.
And we won't go with the same ones we went with before, but clearly Todd Bowles of the New York Jets is on his way out.
Gone. Sorry.
Oh,
And I like Todd Bowles.
I
Like
do too.
he can light a fire underneath the team like no one else's business. I mean, we said the same about Hugh Jackson, but guess what happened to him?
Gone. Absolutely gone. Dirk Cutter. I am up. I'm so that's part of the discussion that we've been having on the Bucks group. And I mean, when you look at the games, it's hard to pin the blame on him. 5 trips to the red zone, 3 points, 500 yards of offense,
Mm-hmm.
3 points.
Yeah.
To me, it seems like we have a culture problem, and that's something that the GM and the coach would have to, come together and say, hey, what are we doing here? Why isn't this working?
But and while I agree with that 100%, something that we said something that we keep saying time and time again. Chris has decided he wants to play around with us today. Something that we keep saying time and time again. Who's the first scapegoat when it comes to a team doing terrible with high expectations?
The head coach, in most times, is the fact that they fired Lovey Smith specifically to keep him to help Jameis develop, and
Yes.
that has not happened.
No. Not at all, in fact.
All right. So the next person is Vance Joseph of the Broncos. Last year they gave him a pass.
Last year was the charity case. After this year,
Right.
he gone.
All right. So the next one here, and this is going to be a tough one because I think I've heard rumblings that they might mutually part ways. But
Mm-hmm.
John Harbaugh of the Ravens.
They're talking about him coaching college too. Um, that one's weird because they had opportunities to do that before.
Hmm.
especially since they just drafted a new QB and they could have started a brand new transition process into bringing him into the fray of things.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about LeVar. I mean,
Right.
I think he's safe.
You think John Harbaugh is safe?
I think he's going to be safe. He's probably going to have one more year.
All right. So last one. I mean, we already know how I feel about Marvin Lewis. We already know how I feel about Jason Garrett.
Yeah, they're both
I
safe.
This list has Adam Gase, but they're 5-5. I don't think he's doing that bad. Person that I want to talk about, and we talked about this McCarthy.
Uh, depending on depending on his relationship with Aaron Rodgers, he could actually be safe. More safe than people give him credit for.
I think this is one of those situations where they might look to move on from Mike McCarthy, similar to how they did Mike Holmgren. And when they got rid of Mike Holmgren, of course, Mike Holmgren went to Seattle, and the rest was that. But I mean, every once in a while, they make these moves where they say, "Hey, it's time for a fresh start."
I mean, I felt like that would have been something way overdue, especially with the two Aaron Rodgers injuries that occurred in the past few years.
This
I
is
mean,
true.
they should have definitely pulled the trigger on that. But the fact that they're wait till now, like Aaron Rodgers not getting any younger now.
It's true. I would love it, of course, if Mike Holmgren, well, not Mike Holmgren, if freaking Mike McCarthy or freaking John Harbaugh decided that they wanted to try their hand in Tampa. And the only reason, because I'm a Bucks fan, sometimes I really want to see how we would play as a 3-4 team. And if we would be better in the NFC South as a 3-4 team. One of the only 3-4 teams. Obviously, I think the Falcons play it sometimes, but I mean, I would like to see us switch to 3-4, shuffle around some things. It might hurt us in the beginning, but I want to see, what we got.
I think now is the time for your team to start experimenting. I mean, and we're not just talking about defensive schemes, but we're talking like both
Everything.
sides of the ball. Like we're
Yes.
talking like complete overhaul. I think they're at they're at the most opportune time to make changes and take chances, make those mistakes, because what's happening right now, currently, isn't working.
Absolutely.
And if they need to draft a new QB, then draft a new QB. If they need to bring another QB from another team over that has good history, that's not going to fizzle out like Fitzmagic,
Right.
then do that.
And
But the
that's where it
first
gets kind
thing,
of tricky.
but the first thing that they need to do is let Jameis Winston go.
It's tough. It's hard to
And,
admit
and
that
I
you
get it.
made.
He's the number one, overall draft pick. You really enjoy what he does. You enjoy listening to the passion that he has, the way that he can help
Mhm.
motivate a team. But it's not equaling to wins. It's not equaling to playoff appearances. Plus, his off-the-field antics isn't making things any more better than it currently
It's true.
is. I think
It's
it's
true.
time to let him go. I think that's the first move that the Buccaneers organization should do after the season is over, is parting ways with Jameis Winston. That's the first thing they should do. Second thing they should do is fire Derek Carr.
Honestly, it's hard. Again, and I mean, are ruthless. They're ruthless. They're like fire everybody. They want to cut Jameis. They want to fire Dirk Cutter. They want to fire Jason Light, the GM. They want the owners to sell the team. I mean, they want it all. So it's tough. Now, the only reason I say not to fire James or cut Jameis is in every case, and I'll say this is probably about 80 to 85%. We let somebody go, they go on to have a great career. There are some, I guess, exceptions to this rule. The Josh Freemans, he was put in a bad situation. Obviously, Doug Martin, bad situation.
Yep.
But there are so many people who have succeeded. And honestly, I'm not sure if this is all